Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of the attendees for the webinar. And my name is Sandeep, and I'm happy to welcome all of you for this interesting session that we are going to present to all of you over the next 1 hour period. I see we have got a couple of attendees already joined, and since it starts at 3, let's give them 1 or 2 more minutes before we start off, and we'll try to stick to the schedule, present everything that we have promised you, and also have time for all of us to share our queries and questions towards the end of it. So once again, warm welcome, and let me give everybody around a minute or a little more before we start off. Thank you. So, everybody. Thank you so much for your time, and I understand that all of you have taken out your time to have a presence at our webinar and learn a couple of things that we're going to share here. So with that, and without losing too much of a time, I'm going to start, and we'll go ahead as we go. Just a quick point, I think we all are aware of some of the things, but just will share. We can take questions at the end of the session, and you can use the question and answer button on your screen, which you have to share your questions at that point of time. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen, and let's get going. So thank you so much for your time, and today's topic, as you're aware, is we wanted to present how we can simplify India GST and TDS management, which is coming both from inoday, our business partner, and NetSuite, which brings in the financial software to you. I would be presenting this along with 2 of my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Pradeep Joshi, who is the subject matter expert on terms of Indian taxation and who is part of inoday Consultancy, and my colleague Uttam Kedia, who is the principal solution consultant. Both of them are technical people and chartered accountant by background. And myself, Sandeep, I take care of the channel business for North and East India from Oracle NetSuite. Moving on to the agenda, and other interesting things that are coming from my colleagues. So there are a couple of things that I want to share here. As part of the agenda, we want to talk about the current challenges, a little bit of sneak preview about NetSuite, what is the inoday NetSuite tax add-on bundle for GST and TDS and E-invoicing. And along with that, we'll also do the product demo, which will be covered completely by my colleague Pradeep. In terms of the cloud ERP overview, I would have my colleague Uttam and myself, which will talk through that. Now, I think all of us understand that in current scenario, there are multiple challenges that we are facing in terms of business, in terms of the changing landscape. We have picked up in terms of the taxation and the compliance part of it, some of the bigger challenges that we have seen with our customers currently in India. So one of the things that we've seen is the changing landscape. I mean, over the past 10, 15 years, we have seen the complete tax structure, the tax way has been moving into a unified direction, and it has been changing its course also. We had, remember, service tax, VAT, now we have GST. With GST, it is E-invoicing has come in, e-way bill is coming, and there would be more to come in as government is working on streamlining businesses to work much more smoothly in terms of business. Now, with this, what has also happened is that there's a very big focus in terms of compliance. Since new things are happening, government has also identified the GSPs in terms of doing this, where there are 34, 35 GSPs. Still, people find it a lot of incompatibility and challenges, which in turn leads into the redundancy part of it, because there are a lot of manual intervention still happening. And the moment manual intervention comes in, I think we all are aware that errors and issues come up. And this is typically from an IT support and in a manual entry perspective. Last but not the least, I think over the last 2 years, we have changed so much of frequent changes. I mean, the barriers have started coming down, whether it was 500 crores to 100 crores to 50 crores when it comes to the e-way billing, e-invoicing part of it. And this is going to keep on being refined by the government of India. So these are some of the challenges. I believe there are more to it, but these are some of the key ones that we found. Moving forward, I wanted to give you a sneak preview about Oracle NetSuite. Many of you who are present here may be aware of it, but just want to take it. And I'm really excited to present this because for the last 2 nights, yesterday and day before yesterday, I've been attending Suite World. I mean, that's probably one of the dream of everybody who is part of NetSuite and who is aware of the NetSuite ecosystem. And there are where you see a lot of things happening, and really excited to see the new things coming up, be it in terms of analytics, be in terms of banking integration, be in terms of the granularity that has been brought in by the system, the artificial intelligence part of it coming in much more towards in the NetSuite platform now, because we have moved or are in the process of moving into the OCI framework. I mean, the great information. I mean, I'm really excited to see that firsthand since we are able to attend it online. Just a sneak preview. I think most of you are aware that NetSuite is the first true cloud company which started in 1998. And now we are a global business unit of Oracle, and we have been like that for the past 5 years since our acquisition in 2016. We have grown to 215 plus countries. And since we have grown to so many countries, what has also happened is that there's a dedicated team to look at the localization part of it and the compliance part of it. But yes, as you can understand, a growing ecosystem, more number of countries, we also have our terms how to go about doing that. 27,000 plus customers is what we have today on our platform, the single platform running on single version. And 6,000 plus customers is what we have added in our last financial year. And NetSuite gets talk and a lot of mentioning in the Oracle ecosystem when they talk about the cloud part and how NetSuite has been growing and doing good things. And I'm really happy to get that. And we want to thank all our customers for that. While I talked about 27,000 customers, I want you to spend probably another 5-6 seconds just to go through some of these names, which are spread across verticals, whether it is VC firms, non-profit organizations, PE firms, manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, software product companies, companies like Dr. Agarwal Eye Hospital, who has been with us probably for more than 15 years. And many of them are as good as 10 to 5 years in the making. We are really proud to have them with us. And one mention I would like to surely talk about Freshworks, which is one of our Indian unicorn, which got recently listed on New York Stock Exchange, is also our customer. Now, I hope you remember I was talking about, I'm really excited to talk about certain things. And so I put this slide just to give you this thing. We are moving into the Oracle Cloud infrastructure at this point of time, and probably in a short period of time, we'll be completely on the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Now, what that means is, as per our founder, Ivan Goldberg, he mentions that to migrate and build up into multiple data centers and grow from there, it is a very short period of time. And we are using the Oracle multi-tenancy and the Oracle Autonomous Database for that. Oracle Autonomous Database gives us the flexibility of using artificial intelligence much more effective. And one of the simplest thing I saw on that was how AP and AR was getting automated by just getting the bills or submitting the bills in the system. And you could get in any format and it would get scanned and it would understand and take it. But that's something which we'll keep it for a later point of time. But I just wanted to share that where we are going at this point of time. Now, when we talk about Oracle NetSuite platform, one of the things that from day one, every customer has got, and which we wanted to also give it to our customers, is when you have a integrated simple system, you also want to build on top of that. Build on top of it in terms of reporting, in terms of your business analytics and all. So today we come with 500 plus standard reports and 300 plus business intelligence templates as part of our offering. And more can be built on top of that. And this is screen agnostic, so you can use it on a desktop, laptop, tablet, or a mobile. And it is a perfect fit for any of those devices that you want to use. And yes, of course, it comes with a mobile app also, either on iOS or Android platform. Now, one of the beauty about NetSuite is while a lot of things happens at the background, it helps all the customers, all the users in terms of data, predictable data, informed data, which helps them to do their work much more effectively. And these are some of the screens that I wanted to present to tell you that multiple things are happening at this point of time, and you have the flexibility of choosing what you want to see at the end of the day when you have NetSuite as a platform. Okay, that's all I wanted to present, and I would not like to get into too much of a detail, and I want to hand it over to my colleague Uttam to take it from here. Uttam?
Thank you. Thanks, Sandeep. Thank you for the details. Let me as well share. Yeah, just a sec. Okay, hope you are able to see my screen. Yeah, we have about quite a few people on the call, so I'm sure there's a lot of interest. It's already there, and with the details that we have set in, I'm sure we understand the perspective. So, from the house of Oracle, NetSuite is one of the biggest or the highest growth earning in terms of from an ERP perspective, and NetSuite Financials is the core or is the heart of the ERP as such. So primarily, I'll just kind of take through some of the feature functionalities, talk to the broader facets, and then we get onto the platform to understand what exactly, how do we kind of work across, and what are the details about it. So from a functionality perspective, or the core areas that we kind of talk through, if you see, we have actually touched upon quite a few industry perspectives. When we say industry perspectives in terms of the learnings that we have in terms of all the implementations that we do on a regular basis. So whether it's software, services, or specific industries, whether it's advertising or non-profit setups, and including manufacturing and wholesale distribution. So you will see whole variety of business domains and the industry setups that we kind of cover. And we have actually learned over the period in terms of how do they kind of capture their revenues, how do they calculate their costs, and the metrics reporting that they need to have. So all that is something that we have built in our solutions, and we kind of offer them as bundled solutions, as packaged offerings, so that it can be much more meaningfully used by the business stakeholders to take use of. So, and additionally, as in like any other platform, it's a completely integrated platform. And in this particular picture that we have, primarily gives you all the facets. So whether it's like ERP, there's a customer relationship portal, we have e-commerce engine, and there are certain other aspects in terms of HR and project solutions, which we call as professional services solutions as well. So all that is completely integrated in a single platform. This is being on the cloud. It's a single source of data. So that's like completely tightly integrated, not much of any kind of, so all your business dimensions or the core data remains uniform across the platform. And that is kind of aided with KPIs and dashboards, roles and workflows. So typically, as you see for any other ERP, but being on the cloud, it's even more flexible in terms of integrations, in terms of connecting to third-party suite apps, and a lot of other, and most importantly, it comes with leading practices or the best practices as we call about, which actually gives you a complete platform in terms of how do we put the uniformity and the best practices across the business. So those are all from the platform perspective. Of course, it's a multilingual, multi-currency, multi-tax structure, and also handling multiple subsidiaries across business hours. So that's a broad facets, and I'm sure there's quite a bit here to kind of understand and chew, and we'll try to detail them as we kind of talk through. So the entire platform or the NetSuite platform is primarily around customer cycle in terms of right from the order processing, or even before that, there's a CRM cycle that you go through. So the customer relationship management, the order processing, and finally getting into the core financials, which is typically culminating into, say, billing and revenue management. So those are like the key areas that we focus upon. This is completely aided by the cost management perspectives, whether it's procurement, inventory, and the manufacturing bit of it. So the entire supply chain metrics, the warehouse, logistics, all that is part of the ERP. And that is how we kind of completely complement that as an ERP. And add to that, we have a complete project lifecycle, which actually has a project management, resource management. You can book in time and expense, and you can get the complete profitability of the projects, which is kind of aided by this project accounting as a module. So this entire project lifecycle, along with an ERP being blended together, is something that we call as an SRP. This being on the cloud, every individual, right from when the top management, the CXOs and the mid management or the people on the ground. Everybody has a role to play, and they have dashboards and access levels, which kind of drives the accessibility. So it's a completely cloud solution. We have some accesses to our partners and customers as well, including some of the vendors, and we can connect through APIs to our external systems as well. So that's the broader periphery. So it's a complete ecosystem being completely connected to get some real-time integrations, real-time analytics and reporting as is required in a dynamic world like today. Just to kind of detail further, since it's a multi-country and a fairly scalable solution that we talk about, each of these is also representing different countries. And we have typically transactions being entered to different countries or different currencies in different countries, and each of these countries may have separate legal entities, but each of these boxes is a legal entity by itself. And they can be actually consolidated at the regional level. Say, for instance, these three getting consolidated Americas. Similarly, we have an EMEA region and so on and so forth. And typically, all your global headquarters is a complete consolidation of multi-tenant, multi-company structure with different currencies and getting all the rules, be it in consolidation in terms of revaluation or any kind of currency translations. So all that is kind of completely been taken care when we do the consolidation. And that is, again, right from different, whether it's India reporting, as in like Ind AS reporting or IFRS reporting, to US GAAP reporting, all those reporting books are also part of the solution. And there is fair bit of analytics as well. So we'll talk through this analytics as we kind of come through. But let me take you through the actual product, and this is the live NetSuite instance. So we are actually on a particular role and responsibility. Typically, this being on the cloud, you will have different roles and responsibilities. It could be for a CEO or somebody who's at the CXO level. There could be specifically from the Office of Finance, a CFO, or it could be a finance, somebody who's in the finance as a user. There are aspects around purchasing and sales. So there are different roles, and based on every role, you will see these particular dashboards are kind of changing. So the whole idea is like it's a completely role-based dashboards that we have. Based on every role and responsibility, you will see this entire thing being changed. We have this typically on the top, you will see these menus and sub-menus, which will drive in terms of what are we trying to access it. Each of these is a business domain. So customer and customer management, the entire sales processing cycle, the revenue cycle in terms of the vendor and vendor management, the financials and reporting perspective. So all these are like embedded. Of course, like any other ERP, it will have a complete chart of accounts and dimension reporting and a lot of other analytics also being part of the solution. And then there are like added aspects in terms of projects, in terms of different areas as well. But that's how this entire access has been kind of built in with menus and sub-menus. This particular screen is kind of divided by these info tiles. This is typically representing a day in life of an individual. In this case, it is a CFO or a chief financial officer. This is just a very symbolic thing. Each of these can be very easily changed. The very highlight of this thing, being in this role, perhaps you need to understand that what level or at what level of organization. So typically, a simple organization can have, say, for instance, headquarters in Bangalore or somewhere, and you need to have different either divisions or different entities in different parts of the globe. And you will see as I kind of move this cursor, the entire screen changes, which kind of gives me as to like what level of data. So when I'm selecting the global data, I select this particular node. But if I select, say, for an ASEAN level data or a JPAC level data or Japan as a India as an entity by itself, I just select that particular data and you'll see the entire set of data changes. So the whole idea is this particular solution is completely real time. All these reports that you get to see, they're all kind of notched in at the top itself. So let me just kind of open a few reports like balance sheet or income statement and things like that. So we can get all of these reports ready from the dashboard itself, and it kind of gives you a report. You can, again, based on the org structure, you can say as to like what level am I looking for these things, whether I'm looking for the consolidated entity or whether I'm looking for a different entity. So depending upon the level of data that we have, we can actually call this particular thing in terms of, and added to that, there are a lot of other business dimensions as well. So if I need to have, say, income statement by location. So typically any organizations will have different locations. So I can get in income statement by locations. I can get or graphical representations in terms of bar or a pie chart as well. Each of this is downloadable as well. So I can actually download them into Excel, PowerPoint, and also email them. Even it can be scheduled at a particular point of time so that these particular emails and these reports can be sent in as an attachment and sent in with a particular message to a particular person. Doesn't even require any kind of integration. So it's all pre-integrated stuff, So these are like some of the very added features from a feature functionality perspective. There are many other functions in terms of the KPI metrics that can be represented. There are payables as a perspective. There are KPI metrics in terms of financials as well. So again, each of these is can be represented in graphical percentages. They can be again into different perspectives. It could be period wise or a quarterly perspective. They can also be downloaded for our day-to-day presentations. And the numbers are, again, as I said, it's all real time. So at any point of time, if I select any number, it gives me a complete statement. Within this, if I need to say a particular, say, cost of goods sold account, I'll get a complete statement of the income statement and the details that are collating. So all the journals, all the income statement, the item lines, the journals that are kind of collating to that particular box statements, they're all outlined here. If I need to further kind of drill down, I can take it to the actual transaction as well. So the whole idea is it's like fully integrated from the dashboard. You can get to the last level of transaction, see the reporting around the same, do the transactions. It's fairly, each of these reports, there's an element of customizations as well. You can sort, filter, customize. So all that is mostly user driven. Doesn't even require any kind of technical expertise as such. By the way, it's all built on Java. So some of the high-end reports can be customized as well as we kind of. And there are many ways that we can represent that. These are all different graphical analysis that we have in terms of, it could be again, and these are all from a reporting perspective, something that the business as a business finance or from an office of finance, people can make track of it. So there are many ways that we can keep track of it, and all the standard financials that we talk about, they can also be, and there are certain reminders as well. So for instance, if I need to have invoices which are more than 30 days and greater than 50 days, I can create some of these alerts, and this will help me get these get these alerts and different outputs, which I can use it to make much more meaningful in terms of what are the invoices and how do we kind of take through this. Again, from here itself, I can get into any individual invoice to open to see what exactly is behind these particular details. So the whole idea is there is an underlying data which we kind of use it to make these dashboards, and they can be very easily being customized for our own requirement. There is a whole setup information which actually builds in right from the user's perspective as to who gets to access the communication, the other level of details. And there is a tax piece of it, which we actually call it as India localization. And tax piece of it from a business perspective will have typically GST and TDS are the main aspects to that. So let me just highlight the entire tax structure that we have. Typically, the tax structure is kind of built in from an account that we need to set up. So any business that needs to be set up in terms of the name of the business, the different domains in terms of GSTIN or TAN numbers that are kind of pertaining to that, we kind of define those different rules, whether it's for GST rules or TDS aspects. And these rules are being kind of further collated into whether it's a service item level, customer level, and things like that. So at different levels, whether it's an account level or at customer or a vendor setup that we need to go through, there are different steps that are involved, finally percolating down to the transaction. So transactions will mostly auto-populate based on whatever we set up at either at the rule level or at a customer or a vendor level. And depending upon those particular things, the transactions will get auto-populated. Finally, this is where we actually calculate our taxes, and then we actually help to get the reports that are required for that. So that's a broad flow, and my friend Pradeep will actually further detail on the taxation perspective, and which will be much more meaningful as to like how do we value add the core aspects of tax, be it in terms of GST, TDS, and he'll take us further. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep and Uttam, for the details of the session. Now let's move on to the main agenda of the meeting, like we have gathered here for taxation and compliances challenges like we are facing and addressing in with the help of NetSuite itself. So the basic idea for uh, taxation and compliance was with the help of ERP is to make it easy and simple and easy for from users perspective to enter the data into ERP and get the desired output in terms of statutory compliances and regulatory compliances for the land of law, according to land of law. So so this will be the basically add-on components that will be added on. So basically, like Uttam has already explained all to all of us, like we already have the tax bundle provided by the NetSuite, and adding on more functionalities into it as an implementation partners. So we are going to add on more components on it whenever and wherever it is required from time to time as per the business requirement and for statutory compliances perspective. So moving on, so basically our total presentation will be divided into three segments majorly. So first one will be for management and calculation of Indian GST, and second one will focus on TDS calculations and management. And then we have recently introduced e-invoicing concepts in India for the businesses where we are having more than a specified limit of turnover. So turnover limiting is being revised by the government from time to time as well. So we'll look into this, how we can address it, and how can we make it simplify with the use of NetSuite itself. So what all are the basic common GST challenges like we are facing till now, like is with our existing systems, be we are using any accounting software, be Tally or any one of them. So basic challenges like we are facing is how to do transaction in easy and user friendly manner, and in case we need to do any of the changes is there from government side, how to incorporate that into the existing system. So that is quite challenging. So basic challenges like we can if we can classify is just to book transactions, then to do payments, reporting, and then reconciliation of that, then compiling and creating reports as per the government format that is required by a specified format in any specified format by the government authorities from time to time. It may keep on changing. So in order to address that, what exactly challenges are, so we need it takes lots of time for any organization to do all these activities, because all of these are separate activities and we are doing it separately, like somebody is booking it and somebody is reconciling it data accordingly, and that is that is always a task of time consuming task, and it is always a tedious task to do when our compliance dates are approaching fastly. So in order to make that easy, what we are doing here is to do automation of all these transactions, like recording of transaction, to make it simple and easy for end user to just punch in it in a similar and familiar manner. And then going forward, how we are going to calculate TDS and GST on those transactions for sale and purchase. Then we need to go and then reconcile our TDS and GST liabilities from time to time for the purpose of filing it to government. And in case we are also dealing with import and export of goods and services, so what all are the regulations that need additional regulations that need to be followed up. And then going forward, if e-billing and e-way billing need to be done, then that need to be done in parallel. So all these activities are all these functionalities are being provided in the single umbrella. Like we just need to put up our transactions properly, and accordingly we can get and generate all the required reports in the desired format to be filed, to be complied with the government's regulations. So that will save lots of time, and energy for the organization that organization can further utilize in doing other tasks as well. So from GST perspectives, what we can say is like these all will be the topics we will be covering today. So that will be defining how easy it is to define our GST rates and masters. That is only a single time activity, and going forward, in case we need to add on more rates and things, so how easy that is for end user as well to do that without any problem, without any assistance, technical assistance or guidance from ERP experts. So end user can easily do that. How to book bill in our vendor bill and GST, and in similarly for customer invoices, how we can book that easily with the help of NetSuite, and then creation of reports as per the requirement. Then one of the most important part is before filing our reports, we need to reconcile them with our sales and purchase register, from especially from the provisions of from perspective of GST return filing. And then going forward, how easy it will be for incorporation of additional changes and whatever maybe there are in future introduced by the government from time to time. So these all are the challenges. These all are the things that we are going to cover. So let's quickly have a view of the product. So this is how we can define our GST tax rate rules in the system along with that. So let me quickly jump into the system itself. So this is the system you can see. So here we can define our different TDS GST related rules. So tax rules for GST to be defined over here for the for our entity, which kind of entity we are having, and what kind of transaction, for what kind of transaction we need to define it. And along with that, we need to have HSN code, GST rates applicable on that, and whether it will be applicable for interstate or intrastate. Accordingly, it can take our CGST and GST rate, and then effectivity, from which date to which date it will be effective for us, and accordingly we can define the rule in the simplest manner. Then moving forward, for exports and other things, we need to have this LUT and bond related compliances that need to be defined. So for that, we also have this functionality to define it over here. So we can simply go to the LUT bond and provide the bond details, its effectiveness, and simply save it. So this is just an overview how we can do it easily and add on more rates coming forward, going forward, in case any additional rules are being introduced by the government. So then we have the basics of GSP configuration as well, like for e-invoicing perspectives, like wherever we need to have e-invoicing. So for e-invoicing point of view, as government has mandated, like all the businesses whose turnover are more than 50 crores now, they have reduced the limit, and accordingly we need to have this e-invoicing functionality. So for e-invoicing, basically currently applicability will be on invoices, credit notes and debit notes. So accordingly that need to be configured. So now for this we need to have some GSP provider configuration. So that will be integration between the GSP providers. So basically these were the intermediaries who are responsible for communicating data, sending our data, via which we can send our data to government portal. So we cannot directly connect to the government portal, like for TDS and other returns, we are filing returns through respective things. So here for e-invoicing, so we need government has notified few in GSP service providers. So we will be providing the interface, and they are having their specific format in which data will be required for generating e-invoice number from government side, government portal. So we'll be helping the businesses to configure do the configuration as per the GSP service provider in a different format. So that will be easy to do. but that will need additional services from the GST provider as well. So going forward, so for that thing, we can quickly go to the transactions like we are having for GST and GST calculations. Like we can have this, like I have opened the vendor bill. So for vendor bill, it's simple. Like we are, if we, in case we are booking any addition, any expenses on that, I have defined, taken the simple expenses and base amount. What exactly is the amount for that transaction? And accordingly, we have defined, simply defined the code for this that we have configured rates, GST code rates, and it will automatically calculate GST on the basis of that. So once we add that, we can simply click on preview button, and on this, it is going to calculate the buttons on the basis of parameters like we have provided for place of supply and all. And before posting that, we can simply go to the tax details where we can visualize all these details that is being calculated on transactions on the basis of parameters, whatever we have provided so far. Okay. So going forward, so here we can see what all are the details that is being applicable on this transaction for this particular transaction. So for different lines, we have different amounts and different GST calculated according to the rate. And similarly, for invoicing, we can provide the simple same kind of details on the basis of item. We can provide an item. We can take. We have taken two different items over here: commission income, and one of them is scrap sales. We have provided the amount and location, and we have just provided the different tax rate for different line items according to applicability, and just clicked on preview button, preview text button, and it automatically calculates on the basis of the rules defined over here. And we can simply preview the different taxes calculated on different lines for the same. So in this manner, we can have this GST related calculations in the transaction and automatically on the basis of these transactions. So we just need to draw the reports accordingly for these transactions going forward. So moving forward for next part for TDS calculations and management. So for TDS calculation and management, similarly, we'll be having our TDS rate master, TDS definition for how we are defining the different TDS rates and masters, then how TDS will be calculated on vendor bill, how automatically challan from the respective TDS bill will be generated from the system, so that we need not to create additional challan entries and sum up all those challans for a particular section for a particular kind of SSC beat for as we all know that we need to create different challans for company and non-companies. So that need to be compiled all together and prepare separate challan for that. So in order to overcome that work, we have automated this functionality to automatic creation of challan at the time of punching in vendor bill only. And on the basis of that, all the due tasks are being done, like challan is being challan entries are being parked. Only thing that we need to do is to just to go to the particular challan and pay off that challan, and on the basis of that we can have that detailed reports for our filing purpose that consists of our challan reports and debt details. So that need to be provided to government for a written filing, for TDS written filing. So that will be ready to use report for filing our TDS returns. So accordingly, and going forward, additional changes in future, like recently we have been introduced with the lower TDS rates. So that can be easily managed by the users themselves. There is no need to take help of the consultants in that case. So that the system is so easy to use in case of these changes. And in case there is an additional changes in law, then definitely we are going to address that. In the meantime, till the time we are getting the updated version for that from NetSuite side. So this will be the process like we'll be doing. So similar way, we have transactions for TDS, like TDS rules. We can simply define TDS rule easily. Like for example, we have taken one simple rule: its name, section code, applicability on particular type of vendors, whether it's for company or for individual other than companies, or for all kind of vendors, it will be applicable. Whether it will be resident vendor without PAN will be applicable. Then effective date for this particular rule, like in case we need to, for example, like recently that due to Corona pandemic, we need, government has rebated these rates of deduction. So we can simply create an additional rule that will be effective for that particular period and provide the simply that rate. And going forward, we can provide the threshold like we are applicable for different sections over here. And accordingly, it will calculate, do the rest of the calculation itself from its side. Then an additional requirement that we are usually having is for vendor exemptions, wherever we need to deduct short TDS on the basis of certificates submitted by the vendors. So we can define it easily over here for different vendors for different sections. And the reason for the lower deductions, we can also capture that, and so that can be reported directly into our TDS filing, why we have deducted that lower rate of tax for that particular vendor, so that these all informations are going to automatically flow with the only just one time definition of these. We are going to define it vendor exemption one time, and then we just need to do the transaction with that vendor, and accordingly system will take care of rest of the things. So here we can define certificate number, its effectivity, and amount rates, like for first 1 lakh or say something, the rate will be lower, and after that particular limit, rate will be higher. So accordingly, system will take care of rest of all. So moving forward, like we have vendor prepayment. So for vendor prepayment also, in case we would like to have that TDS to be deducted, in case we are doing any advance payment to vendor. So at that point of time, we would like to deduct TDS for the vendor. So we can simply do it with the help of NetSuite itself, and accordingly, we just need to take care, and accordingly when we are going to bill it, then accordingly that will be adjusted in the same. So here we can simply define the section, rates will be automatically there, and then TDS amount will be calculated, and accordingly our entries will be parked in the system, like we can see for this. So we have this amount of 9,000, like we have entered the base amount was 10,000 and the TDS amount was 1,000. So here we can also see like there is a automated link is being created. We are getting the reference of in which challan this entry is going to be reside, so that we can see how where we are getting that kind of entry. Like this is the challan number 134. We can read from here, challan number 134. So on just clicking of that, we are here on this particular challan. All the entries related to this particular section for this particular period for a particular kind of vendors, say for company, it will be a different challan, it will be parked in different challan, and for non-company, it will be parked in a different challan, so that at the time of payment, We need not to do anything. We just need to pay it off. And this is just in the parking mode. So we can see the status is pending approval. So this is by default in parking mode. So once this is approved, so financial impact will be posted in the book. So this is just in the parking mode. So once we pay the challan, on the basis of this, we can select, there is a default bank account for payment of this challan that is attached against it. So we can modify it at the time of payment of challan, fill all the details related to bank challan, but that we have gathered while paying this challan. So and then simply click on save. And the event we save it, we are getting all the details related to all the transactions that like for 27Q, we are having like NRI deducted details. For 26Q, we need deducted details report, and in this specified format, like capturing all the fields that are required for filing the return. We just need to simply provide the date, from which date to which date transactions are there, and just click on generate CSV. Then we are going to get all these reports. This is the format, how we are getting it in detailed format. So for different entities, in case we are having more than one entities, so accordingly we can have challans for different entities at different point of time. These are the transaction numbers, section, deductive codes, and all the details that is required for filing a return. So that is readily available on a single click of button. So what we need to do in this case was just to post the entry properly in a transaction. Rest of the thing is all automated for user to be done. And similarly for challan, we have this challan reports capturing all the details of this particular challan for particular section. So that is all. This is also available on the single click of button in CSV format. Then user just need to simply download it in CSV format and accordingly submit their returns. So this is the ease of doing for these reporting and other purposes. So going forward, for similarly for our so these all are the challans and entries. So similarly, we can see like for each and every details we are having here is similarly for our filing our GST returns, we would like to have them reconciled with our respective purchase register. So as explained by my colleague Uttam earlier, like one of the key features with the NetSuite is preparation of reports as per the user requirement. So each user can create reports as per their requirement. The only requirement from the system is we need to punch in that particular data into the system at the particular point of time. So in this case, like for GST or a TDS, we need to just simply put in data properly into our transactions and just provide the sections and correctly, and accordingly system will calculate, take care of rest of the thing, and GST and TDS will be calculated accordingly. So here is the register, like purchase register we have prepared for reconciliation purposes. So in case any additional fields are being required by the user, so user can simply add on by themselves what exactly is the amount of GST as GST for this particular transaction. So that is transaction on transaction, and we can simply go to that particular transaction on single click of button from here. Like we have all the transaction, like okay. We can have this sales register for reconciling for the purpose of reconciliation of GST returns and others before we file these returns. And for reporting purposes, system is already also providing the basic reports. We have already downloaded it for you. So one for B2B and B2C, we are having similar kind of reports for B2C as well. So that is downloadable. So we can simply download it from here, and in this format, it is showing all these details to us. Going forward, like for GSTR 3B, also we have downloaded the reports. So all the details of outward supplies that are being provided for outward taxable supplies. So these all are on the basis of the transactions we have entered for that particular period of time. And accordingly, we are generating it for a particular period of time, like what exactly is the value of central tax. So all these details are there. And for purpose of reconciliation of these, we have purchase and sale registers prepared in the system. So we can reconcile it at high level as well as. So these will purchase register and sale registers are detailed reports. So in the similar way, we can also prepare the summary reports of these transactions as well. In the similar manner, like we are getting these reports. So this is the report format. Like for eligible ITC, we have all these transactions, like for state and central tax wise bifurcation. Similarly for interest and penalties, and in this manner we can do it. And in case more reporting and more formats are required, we can simply manage it and plan it accordingly. We can simply create a report with very that can be easily manageable by the users as well as, and initially we can do it for you or as a one-time customization, and we'll let you know during our do it in future as well. In case that need to be added on, more reports and things need to be added on, then we can add on. So these all are about the TDS and GST. Now adding on for e-invoice creation, like we have NetSuite is already having tie-up with a few of the service providers, and it is open for the users to choose any of these vendors, and accordingly we can integrate with them and generate our e-invoicing. So basically, this will be the process flow for generating our e-invoicing. So basically, simply we are just creating normal invoice. We'll be first creating a normal invoice in the system, and then there will be an, like I earlier said, the whole purpose is to make it simple for user to do all these transactions with ease and comfort. So that's the thing, that we can just simply create the invoice, and on the top of invoice you will get a button to click on to generate e-invoice. It will send all the reports, it will send all the details, it will consume all the reports details from your invoice and send it to GSP, and via GSP it will be sent to government portal, and from government portal we'll be able to fetch the details. If in case it is correct, then it will send the successful message, and accordingly we'll get all the details of IRN generated along with QR for us. So that can be easily done in this system. So here we can see, like we can also see like e-invoicing IRN details are automatically populated in case of invoice. I will show you in system as well, and this is the format of our e-invoice, how it is looking at high level. I have already downloaded the one for you. So like we can see in invoice, sales invoice column, we can see these are the sub tabs for e-invoicing. So once invoice is created and successfully created, all the details provided will be captured over here, and simply we can then print. Then there will be a print button, and we can get all these details in the respective format, right? So I think so that's all from our side. So at last we would like to add on something more about our company. Like we are inoday, and we are renowned for our custom solution development firm, and we are delivering it for last 14 years now, and adding and addressing the business problems and solutions of different business domains for manufacturing, services, e-commerce, business, and different business domains. And we'd love to have that take as challenges of the business problems, and would like to have that caliber to deliver the commitment to innovate and eliminate the bottlenecks that we are facing in our day-to-day business activities. So we'll be looking forward to hear from you guys soon. So thank you. So over to you, Sandeep.
Thanks, Pradeep. So thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, Uttam. I think this has been a great session. And okay, so thank you, Pradeep, for your great TDS friend, and thanks, Uttam, for your inputs in terms of the demo and an overview. Before we wind up and we move on to the question answer session, I just want to leave you with a few points and takeaways from our whole session. The whole objective was to show you how we can automate in this current scenario, how we can help you in terms of a seamless integration between our systems and the government taxation systems, which will help you in terms of improved compliance. And last but not the least, all these things will lead you to see how adaptive insights and how easy it is to adopt and adapt a system like this where we are facing so much of the challenges. So that's what I want to leave you all with at this point of time. And I wanted to open up the session for question and answers. And if you can put your questions in the Q&A section, we would like to address a few of them in the remaining time. Thank you, everybody. Please feel free to ask any questions, any queries. I mean, we have tried to share how much ever possible, but we know we can't get into too much of a detail at this point of time, given the paucity of the time. So any queries or any questions that you may have, we would like to address at this point of time. Shamavi, have you received any questions at this point of time?
Not so far.
So I think I'll give around a minute more so that we are right on sharp in terms of 4 o'clock before we can move ahead. Great. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And I think I don't see any questions. So thank you so much. I hope this was a good session for all of you. And we look forward to having many more such sessions going forward. And we'd like to have you brought in to see those from our side. Thank you for your time, and thank you for having us in this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sandeep. Thanks, Uttam, Pradeep. Yeah.